Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to Stretch the Sketch for May and also for May I Scraplift You. Today I am scrap lifting this awesome kind of rainbowy layout by Joy Bell's Scraps, and I kind of went in a little bit different direction with it. I went with a rainbow of color, but I did not arch my rainbow, and I stretched it to a double page because I did it for Stretch the Sketch, and basically treated that scrap lift as it was, or that page as though it was a sketch. So I started out by going through my scrap bin and cutting a bunch of different papers at about 3/4 of an inch. I found that that was probably about the narrowest I could go and still be able to distress them effectively with my distress tool. Anything narrower, it just kind of like I had a really hard time running the distress tool over it without just tearing it in half, and so this the 3/4 of an inch is what worked best for me. So I started out with longer strips, but I knew I was going to cut them into smaller sections. Some of these strips are like the full 12 inches, some of them are shorter. It just depended on what the scrap was out of my scrap bin, because none of these were new papers. I didn't want to cut into any 12 by 12 with all of the scraps that I have left over. I thought that was the best way to use them up. So I didn't make you sit through watching distressing all of them, but you can see I have quite a pile of paper fuzz there on my desk from doing all of this distressing process, and all of my papers are kind of like piled up there in a heap as far as the ones that are already done. I think I have one more left after this. I have that purple one that you see at the top of the screen, and I will have to go back and distress the ends wherever I happen to cut things. So I kind of laid them out in rainbow order, starting with pink at the top, then red, orange, yellow, green, blue, well, green, aqua, blue, and purple. And I want these patterns to be kind of mixed up. I don't want them to be as they are there, where it has like the dark pink on the right and the lighter pink on the left. So I am cutting them into approximately 3-inch sections. Some of them are a little more, some of them are a little less, based on what I had in my scrap bin. So if the paper was 7 inches long instead of 6 inches long, they might be 3.5 inches long. I didn't try to get 3 out of it, because that would have made it all of my pieces really small. And then in lining them up, I decided that I wanted them stacked kind of like bricks would be stacked, rather than having all of the seams line up. I wanted them to not line up. And I have this, I think it's a quilting guide, and my son brought it home for me. I don't even know where he got it from, probably from his old job. And it's just this big acrylic piece. It is, I don't even know how long it is, but I don't know, it's probably 2 feet long or so, and so that is approximately the right size for me to stretch across this double page layout. Now, of course, if it wasn't on an angle, it would be the right size, but since it's on an angle, I kind of just have to shift things around, and that is basically just kind of giving me a guide as to keeping my lines straight. Otherwise, I don't know. I think it would have been really difficult. I do have an 18-inch ruler, so that could have worked as well. But I wanted to kind of keep the lines straight and not have them so that they were wonky. And so and I wanted the gaps all to be somewhat even. They're not perfect, but it does work, and I'm happy with it. I did have to go and cut a few extra pieces to fit them all the way across, because a couple of the colors I didn't have, like the green doesn't go all the way to the end, so I had to go and cut another piece, and so that's what I'm doing in this particular section of the video here. And here I'm just cutting that purple piece into thirds. You saw me fold it into thirds, and that was just easier than trying to measure it, because it was a weird length, and that way the sections of the plaid were not too long, and they were, intermixed, every other one with the other purple, and I like the way that that looks a lot better. Now, all of my seams going vertically are not lined up perfectly because not all of my blocks are the exact same width, and so they're not going to end up looking exactly like bricks because of that. But I still like how it looks. It looks a little bit more random and a little bit more haphazard. I did go straight across the seam there of the paper, as you saw, and I just cut that with my scissors to cut the 2 pages apart, and I'm just cutting the edge off. And I really like how it looks in the end. I'm super happy with it. I like the colors. I do like how there are like lighter oranges and darker oranges and lighter yellows and darker yellows. And I just think that adds to the design. I think it doesn't, like, I don't know, it doesn't detract from it. It definitely adds to it because, you know, we don't really ever see things like in nature and stuff. They're not all a solid color. The solid color stuff tends to be stuff that is man-made. So at least that's how I feel. You know, cars are pretty much a solid color. Houses are a solid color, but trees are not, and neither are leaves. And so I think this is more or less, it gives you that rainbow feel because of that. So then I went through a bunch of my embellishments. I had a whole bunch of these felt clouds and suns, and so I thought I'd pull those out and use those because I am dealing with a rainbow here, so I thought that was like the perfect thing to kind of bring in. And I have this little tractor wood veneer. That is from MK Gunn's shop. It's called Some Assemblage, let's see here, Some Assemblage Required. And she has an Etsy shop. And so that wood piece is from her shop, and I really love it. And I thought it was perfect for this layout because the photos that I am using are of Noah, my grandson, at this park that is local. And the right-hand side, he is inside the tractor. It's like a tractor play structure, so he's inside the tractor. And then on the left-hand side, he is sitting on top of a pig sculpture, and then he's with his mom on a horse sculpture. And they had like chickens and dogs and cows, and they had another horse that was standing up, and the kids could play on them and climb on them and everything. They weren't there for decorations. They were definitely in the playground area. And so I thought that would just be fun for him to go and check that out, and then to have a page based on our time there. We've gone to this park a couple of times, and so the photos are actually from 2 different trips. The ones on the right are from one trip, and then the ones from the left are on from the other trip. And I paired them that way because, well, I could have made it 2 separate layouts, but it's all one park, so I figured, and it's within like a few weeks of each other, so I figured it's much better just to get it done on a double page layout than to have 2 single pages in his book based on the same park. And the pictures are cute, you know? Sometimes you just gotta scrapbook the cute pictures. So then I pulled out this stamp set, and this is Elizabeth Craft Designs. And that is a current stamp set that you can get. I'm trying to look for the name of it as we speak right now, and for some reason it is not where it's supposed to be. Aha, I found it. Okay, it is called Retro Labels CS 133, and that is the stamp set that you see on my desk right there with the circle in the bottom left-hand corner, and then it's got like the rectangles and squares, and there's even an octagon. And then I did pull out another set which is sitting underneath that, and that is also from Elizabeth Craft Designs. And I didn't end up using that one, but that one, well, actually I did end up using it, but I use it just to stamp this little border edge, and it's called My Life, product number CS135, if that's of interest to you. but it does have like these little square clipboards, and I thought those were super cute, so I picked that stamp set up, and I thought it would be fun to use. And so I'm not doing a whole lot more embellishing other than putting these labels in, and then the sun and the clouds, and that tractor, of course, because it doesn't really need a whole lot more, with a little bit of mixed media and a little bit of um, well, a lot of bit of that that rainbow in the background. It didn't need a whole lot more. So I did back the photos with white and with black, just because I believe the black makes everything pop on top of a rainbow or on top of those bright colors. It's a lot easier to see and for your eye to make out versus just using the white, especially since there's so much white background. And then the mixed media, I chose to do pink up in the upper left and purple in the lower right, and that's because that is the color that it's closest to in the rainbow. And so I just thought that would kind of look the best. And then I'm trying to figure out how to glue these down. I probably should have just heated up my glue gun, but I used glue dots. They do work, but it was kind of a pain to kind of work with them, because they do want to pull off the felt if you pull hard enough on them, because the felt is fibrous, you know. And so I did my best to get them stuck on there, and I tried several different ways. As you can see, I tried using my tweezers, and then they got stuck on my tweezers. I tried just pressing it onto the glue dot roller and pulling it off. So it was kind of a learning process, and I really do need to switch out my glue gun for the one with the longer cord, but I don't have that one handy. It happens to be next door at my mom's, and I didn't want to have to like glue from almost, you know, halfway across the room, because that's where how far my cord would reach. And so yeah, this is what I found worked the best, by just using the tweezers and sticking it under and pushing down. And that is probably my biggest tip in this layout, is if you're going to use glue dots for felt, that's the way to do it. While I finish gluing those down, I'll tell you a little bit about Stretch the Sketch. It is the third Sunday of the month. This is our third year doing it, which is super exciting. Everybody has chosen their own sketches this month, and they could choose any size they wanted, and they had to basically alter it to a different size. So I'm really, really curious to see what everyone did, because I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun. People might have chosen 8.5 by 11s. You could have chose a card size and made it into a double page or a single page, or you could have chosen a traveler's notebook sketch and made it into some other size. I chose a 12 by 12 layout, and I scrap lifted it, but using it as though it was a sketch with that whole rainbow look on it, and just stretched it to a double page. And that everyone's links for Stretch the Sketch will be in my description box down below, as will all of the links for May I Scraplift You, and there are a whole bunch of people playing along with that as well. And we've been scraplifting people all month for the month of May, and there very well could be other people scraplifting the same person that I am scraplifting, but they might also be scraplifting other people. So it's kind of exciting and fun to go see who has been scraplifted and what everyone has done to change out those pages. So go and check out everyone in the description box down below, like I said, and get a little bit of inspiration. So I had these burlap hearts in my stash, and so I pulled those out, and I decided to use them in the upper right hand corners of each of the clusters. And then I pulled out this wood veneer piece that says adorable on it, mostly because I had the wood veneer tractor on the opposite page. I wanted some wood on this page just to provide a little bit more continuity. Usually when I do a double page layout, I don't have 3 embellishment clusters on each page, and in this case I kind of do. There's three little areas that have the cloud with something else with it, but I'm kind of almost looking at it as though each page has one big cluster around the photos. I don't know. it just seemed to work for this page, and because I kept the embellishments relatively simple, I think that also helped. If I had gone a little bit crazy and done a bunch of layering and a bunch of florals, I think it would have been too much. But since it was left simple, it worked to have the 3 clusters around each side. Now what I'm doing here is, originally I had thought about stitching on this layout, but then I decided I wasn't going to, and then at the end, at the last minute, I was like, you know what, I really should have stitched on it. So what I did was I did some faux stitching just using my ruler and my Muji pen in black. And so I do like the way that it looks. I do wish I had gone and taken the time to actually do the stitching, but one of my reasons for not doing that is I had put everything down with my ATG gun, and running my ATG gun, or running my needle through all of this paper with the ATG adhesive would have caused my needle to be very sticky. Normally when I am going to adhere, I use liquid glue, let it dry, and then use my stitching and my sewing machine. And in this case, I didn't do that. So the faux stitching is what I ended up with. Now I did trim a little bit off of each one of those layouts, off of 3 sides, and so that I could get that black background around it, and I really like how that looks. I think it draws everything together and just kind of frames the whole thing. And then I needed to add a title, and I pulled out these new Vicky Bouton stickers, and so I went with the title, Today Was Beautiful, and I'm just stretching it across from one photo cluster to the other photo cluster. And yes, I am going to cut that B apart so that it does bridge the 2 pages, and I will put this in a flush mount page protector. And if you've never heard of that, they don't make them anymore. You can make your own. It's basically 2 page protectors that are attached together so that when you open up the center, they are flushed together like they would look like in a post-bound album, but you don't get that look in a ring-bound album. So I do have some of those page protectors, and you can make your own by using a fuse tool, or by stitching the pages together, or by maybe using washi tape to hold them together. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next month with another round of Stretch to Sketch, and I will see you tomorrow with another May I Scraplift You layout. Thanks for watching, and if you don't mind hitting the like button, I would really, really appreciate it. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye-bye.